There's just a leaf that just fell out of nowhere.
I call him Chadwin. It's cute, isn't it? I love the name Chadwin.
We're on top of the world. We're on top of the world now, darling, so don't let go. Can I call you mine? So can I call you mine now, darling, for a whole lifetime? My heart finally trusts my mind, and I know somehow it's right. And oh, we got time, yeah. So darling, just say you'll stay right by my side. And oh, we got love, yeah. So darling, just swear you'll stand right by my side. We're on top of the world. We're on top of the world now, darling, so don't let go. I got something to say. You're perfect in every way. I'm gonna shout it out. I wanna tell you now, 'cause I know somehow it's right. And oh,
Well, Carly and I met at the YSA Stake back to school dance thing.
So we met at an institute dance at Tempe Institute, and it was back in 2012, and he just came over to talk with my friends, and we met, but we didn't really talk much.
And our first, I guess, little thing we did that night hanging out was we went to In-N-Out Burger. And that's pretty much the first time that I really met her, but then she moved to Utah to go to school. So that's pretty much but that was the beginning.
I guess he thought I was pretty quiet, and I thought he was kind of crazy and loud, so we didn't talk much that night, but we went to In-N-Out with our friends, and then he just became really good friends with my friends. So 2 years later in the future, I guess no, just 1 year in the future, after I got my mission call, he posted a picture on Instagram of Settlers of Catan, and I love Settlers of Catan, so I commented on the picture. And so the next party we saw each other at, we had something to talk about.
I say Settlers of Catan. A lot of people say Catan. I think it's up for debate.
So instead of just saying hi to him like I usually would and leaving, I sat there and we talked.
And then she's like, oh, you like Settlers? I was like, yeah. And so we started talking about it, and that's when we actually started talking, and I realized hey, I'm kind of interested in this girl. She's really cool. That's when it kind of clicked in my head that I was Carly's really cool. So then I got her number that night, and then we started texting that night, and that's when this thing started rolling, is that we started texting and everything.
And we hit it off, and at this point though I had my mission call, so yeah, we didn't have a chance to date for very long, but so that's kind of how it all happened, is we started talking about Settlers.
Let's see, one of our first times hanging out, kind of after I got her number, was at one of her friends' missionary farewell type thingamajiggers. And so we were talking about food and things. I don't know why, but I was like, oh, I love Philly cheesesteak. And she's like, oh yeah, I like that too. I was like, cool, let's go to this place, De Falco's in Scottsdale. She's like, okay. And so...
Well, he initiated the date, but it was kind of funny because we both didn't really know if it was a date or not. It was kind of more of a text and let's hang out tonight. What we did is we went out to dinner to his favorite restaurant.
It wasn't really going to be a date. It was more of let's go eat this food together. It wasn't an official date. But then my other friend there was there, and he was like, yeah, I want to go too. And one of her friends was there, and she's like, okay, I'll come too. So it ended up being a group date, but it wasn't really an official date.
It's called De Falco's. De Falco's. Ooh, edit that one. De Falco's. He'll say it better than I will. And we had Philly cheesesteaks. That's his favorite food.
So anyways, we ended up at De Falco's, had some amazing Philly cheesesteak, and then afterwards we went to country dancing and country dance, which I'm okay with, but she really likes. And she told me after that night that she was like, oh, that's the night that I knew that I liked him, was after we went dancing. I was like, cool, whatever. I can't really dance, but yeah, that was I guess our first date.
And we went dancing, country swing dancing, and it turned into a date. and it was one of the best first dates I've ever been on. Actually, the best. It was the best first date.
Okay, our first kiss. So, let's see, it was actually the night of her, so she had her mission call already, and I knew this, and I knew that she was leaving, but I thought she was a super cool girl. I was like, this girl's really different, I really like her. I don't care if she's leaving on her mission or not.
Our first kiss was the night after my farewell. So I didn't even know if Chad was really interested in me, but then he came to my farewell, and then afterwards he texted me and said, "You look so beautiful today." And it clicked in my head that he was actually interested in me. So then that night I went to his house and I was like, "Hey Chad, let's go on a drive."
And she was like, "Do you want to go for a drive?" I was like, "Sure." And so we went for a drive, and then we went to like the Islands Park by my house, and like we were just walking around and stuff, and then we went out on the dock.
So he took me to a dock there.
And we were just laying down on the dock, like looking at the stars and stuff, and I was like, I gotta kiss this girl. She's leaving really soon. Like she just gave her farewell talk today and everything, so she was leaving in like a week or two. And then so I was like, okay, so I just like turned over and just like kissed her face, and I think she was kind of surprised.
And we were just in there talking and cuddling, and all of a sudden he attacked me and kissed me.
She likes to use the word attack. I did not attack her. I probably surprised her. I kissed her face. I was like, I'm gonna kiss her.
So then we kissed, and I was smitten. It was really quick. And then that was before those 2 weeks, the magical 2 weeks that we had together.
So we're on the dock, and then all of a sudden the sprinklers turn on at the park, and they're like the ones that like move. And so we're like, oh, I was like, it's not gonna hit us, like don't worry. And we're like out there, and like it's going, and then finally it's like, and we're like isolated on the dock, and so it actually does hit us, and we're just like getting soaked. So we're like running off the dock, like trying to get away from these sprinklers. So we ended up getting wet, but it was like romantic and crazy, kind of like Notebooky rain from nasty sprinklers. First kiss. It was pretty cool though. It was epic. Okay, so I knew that we both knew that we liked each other, but that she had to leave, and I wanted her to leave. I was like, she's got to go on her mission. Like that's awesome, Norway. Like how could you pass that up? So okay, she's got to go. It's like I can, I'll be here in a year and a half most likely. So anyways, I was like, I'm not gonna wait. And she's like, I don't want you to wait. That was we kind of both knew that, but I was like, but I want to write you. Like I'm gonna write you. And so we just emailed back and forth pretty much every week. I missed a few weeks here and there, but we emailed and we wrote some letters and kind of sent pictures back and forth. So like I got to know her a lot better over the next year and a half, better than I knew her in like those 2 or 3 weeks that we kind of dated. So
Chad was so diligent in writing me. Like he didn't have to write me. That was his decision. But he wrote me weekly. So every week I'd get an email from Chad, and it made me so giddy. And I think that's what kept it going, is that when I get those weekly emails, I'd feel those butterflies again, and I'd get so giddy, and I was so excited to hear from him, and it kept him in my mind. And it was actually hard. Like I felt kind of guilty as a missionary thinking about him. So I would pray about it and try to figure out if I was really supposed to keep writing him. But I always felt really good about it and felt like we were supposed to be writing and supposed to be in contact.
And I knew that I really liked her a lot. And she was always in the back of my mind the whole time, just like, what about Karlie? Like what's gonna happen there? So that was really interesting, because you don't really know. She's on a mission, you don't know what's gonna happen when they get back. But it was always in the back of my mind for a year and a half, like kind of like taunting me, like, Karlie, what's gonna happen with Karlie? It was kind of crazy, but.
So I think that's what kept it up, is we just wrote each other, and for some reason we couldn't get each other out of our heads.
So she gets back, or she's coming home, and I know that, and I'm like, should I be at the airport? Should I not? Is that too much? But I was like, okay, I've been riding this girl for a really long time, and I really like her. So I was like, okay, I asked her, I was like, would it be cool if I'm there? Like, is that gonna be weird? She's like, no, that's totally fine. So then I'm left with this, I have to make a choice. Acrylic's concert is the exact same night she gets home, and then there's Karlie airport homecoming. I was like, ooh, really want to see Acrylic's. She didn't know this story until like months after. I was like, by the way, like it was between you and Acrylic's, which is terrible, but Acrylic is one of my favorite bands. So I decided, okay, I'm not gonna go to Acrylic's, I'm gonna go see Karlie. So I go to the airport and wait for her to get off, and I'm just like beaming from ear to ear when she comes off, and just like so happy and giddy. And so like she comes up to me, and it's kind of like awkward, like what should we do, the rules. And so like I go to like shake her hand, and she's like, give me a hug. And she hugs me. I was like, cool, all right. It's like, this girl's awesome. So she gave, so we hugged and everything. But anyway, so yeah, it was cool, like just see her that night. And then I didn't see her the next night because she was like, I'm just gonna be with my family, so on and so on. I was like, okay, that's cool. So then the following night, which is a Saturday night,
I was home 2 days, and then Chad wanted to hang out and wanted to, he was like, I don't care what we do tonight, but we're hanging out. So we hung out, and I was so surprised by how not awkward it was, because I was an awkward returned sister missionary, but it just felt the exact same as it did before the mission. And I remember that night, the first time we hung out, I was saying goodbye and I was hugging him, and I didn't want him to leave. Like, I just felt that, like, oh, I don't want him to leave. So we went to my backyard and talked for 3 hours, and it just went so well. We just felt like best friends again and had our first kiss after the mission. So after that day, it was just smooth sailing. It was 2 days after I got home, and then we were together, and we decided to be boyfriend, girlfriend, and then a month in, he told me he loved me, and then I think it was 3 months, he proposed, and I had bought my dress the day of the proposal, my wedding dress. So I knew it was coming. We were ready. It was right. We both had known that it was right. So it was so smooth.
Okay, so yeah, the engagement we want, exactly. We both kind of knew that, like, hey, this is going places. And so I got the ring, you know, whatever she wanted. And she didn't know exactly if I had it yet or not.
He actually did surprise me, which I was impressed with too, because I was expecting it at some point, so I thought for sure. But everyone had told me that the ring was going to take a few more weeks, so I was surprised. And actually, the whole thing, we went on a bike ride, and that was my idea. I was the one that said, let's go on a bike ride.
And I had a general idea. I was like, I want to do it at the Gilbert Riparian Reserve. We're going to go like for a bike ride or something, and I'll have a big sign set up by the water. And so the day came, Saturday, and I hadn't told her yet, like, hey, let's go on a bike ride. I hadn't said anything about it because she kind of knew like it was coming soon. She knew it had to be within the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. So I didn't want it to be like something suspicious where she's like, okay, I totally know this is going to happen. So anyways, she texted me, she's like, we should go for a bike ride or something. It's nice out. And I was like, okay, perfect. I was like, let's go to the Riparian Reserve. She's like, yeah. So it's like inception. So it was all her idea to go on this bike ride.
So I thought for sure, like, he's not proposing. This was my idea to go on this bike ride. So the morning of, I bought the dress, and then we went on this bike ride. And on the bike ride, he stopped and we went on a dock, which our first kiss was on the dock, so that was pretty sweet. And I noticed that something was weird because he like grabbed my hand and was like, come over here. And I'm like, okay, chill, like, what's the big deal? Let's hurry.
But what she didn't know is that I had texted my friends, was like, hey, I need you guys to be there, set up this sign that says, you know, will you marry me, by the water and everything. So they had all got that set up, and we got there, and we bike around, we like do a loop, and then like I take her out onto the dock, and she sees the sign, but she doesn't really know it's for her, because like, it was like, how would that even be possible?
And then he pulled me onto the dock, and I looked across from the pond, and there was a sign that said, marry me. But it still didn't click in my head that it was for me, because I'm like, this is my idea, this isn't for me. And there's tons of people, because they had all seen the sign, so they wanted to stay and see the proposal. So there's a sign across the lake, and I looked behind, and he was on one knee. And I still didn't believe it. What's going on? So then he proposed, and do you want to know what he said? It's kind of cute. It's really cute. He said, Karlie Lace Harrison, I love you. I've loved you for a long time. I want to love you forever. Will you marry me? So how can you say no, right? So then his friend came and took pictures, and it was really fun.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. It was a little bit inception-y. It was cool.
He really did surprise me. I was impressed.
Karlie is a really special person. She makes me really happy. She's probably one of the happiest persons I know, and extremely sweet. So I want to be with her forever because she's just so happy, and everyone that's around her knows like about the joy that she brings. And then she's very sincere. Like, I know that she cares about me, and she knows how much I care about her.
It's hard because it's like one of those things that you can't really explain. It's like that feeling you get that's so hard to put words to. And I felt it from the very beginning, that when I was around him, I just felt that connection that you can't put it to words, that I never felt so much like myself. I never felt so, oh, I sound so cheesy, but it's real. Just like this connection that I never felt before. And he is the sweetest. He's so genuine and sweet and good, and he's funny, and he's the most hardworking person I've ever met.
We mesh together really well and have a lot of fun together, same kind of ideas and everything. So yeah, I just love everything about her. She's so beautiful and so fun, and yeah, I just can't wait to be with her for eternity. So she's the best.
And yeah, that friendship, I never felt that kind of level of friendship with a guy before that I had dated, and still be able to have those romantic feelings. So he's honestly my very, very best friend. I've never felt as close to anyone before.
So I'm excited to live together and start a family and be able to be with her all the time and like grow a relationship and get to know each other more and more and deeper, and like build on that and like care about each other even more and more. It's gonna be really cool to have like a buddy that knows like everything about you, like a really awesome best friend. So it's gonna be awesome.
I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up, I'm still looking up. Well, I won't give up on us. God knows I'm tough. Even if the skies get rough, I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up.
Yeah, right? You're like, this thing is such quality.
It's his hair. It's of the future.